Our next musical of the night premiered on Broadway in 1950, just a few years before West Side Story. It was boasting a first-class cast and welcomed with rave reviews. It was called Guys and Dolls. Right? And it broke new ground by having two major plots and two primary couples, opposed to the formula popularized by Rodgers and Hammerstein of a separate primary and a secondary couple. You know, Curly and Lori in Oklahoma, then Ado Annie and Will Parker. Guys and Dolls changed this because all four principals shared equal stage time with one another. Now, to celebrate this Frank Loesser musical with its title song, a song that revolutionized the vocabulary of a character's lyrics, please welcome to the stage somebody who knows very much about Guys and Dolls. He's done it 3 times, including the last Broadway revival, Mr. Steve Rosen. Hello, Steve Rosen. Hello, Steve. Tell the crowd about your association with Guys and Dolls.
It all began as a child. No, it really did. My brother was in it in high school. He played, I hit myself in the face. I have not performed in a while. My brother was nicely in high school, and just because of my family and how obsessed we were with musicals, I went to go see it every single performance, and I would go to all the rehearsals and stuff. So I got to, when you're a kid, you see something over and over again, you start to memorize it. So I was very familiar with it in the way that a little brother is. And then I didn't think about it again, really, until I auditioned for the Broadway revival that they did in 2009 at the Nederlander. Oh, you clap now, but when I leave, you're all going to talk about it. I know you will. At the Des McAnuff production at the Nederlander Theater, and it was a phenomenal experience for me. I got to play Benny Southstreet, who is the sidekick's sidekick. The least fun role to play, because he gets to sing the big number, you get to sing this number, Guys and Dolls, which is very fun. And then I played Nathan a couple of times. They did a tour that Gordon Greenberg directed with Ben Crawford and Aaron Davey and Megan Sikora. It was super fun. We did a lot of big outdoor theaters. And I was always just impressed by how well the show played everywhere. It is so, in terms of musical comedy writing, from Abe Burrows and Joe Swerling, who's given credit, but he has a sort of, not a dubious history with it, but is sort of not really given as much credit as the other. And Frank Loesser's music and lyrics, the lyrics are so crazily good from top to bottom. And no matter where you are, it has this sort of universal appeal. It's it is one of the greatest musical comedies ever written. And especially for what you were talking about as these two different couples being the primary focus of the show, it really was the first musical to have an A and a B story as a comedy. So that's I feel this is weird because I'm having a conversation with someone behind me.
Don't ignore me. Ignore me. I'm nobody. Play to the house.
Tell me about your experience with this musical.
What a great question. I'm going to turn upstage so you know how it feels. I love this show. Are you ready to give us this title song?
I am.
As a solo? A duet as a solo?
I am. I'm doing a duet as a solo, and I'm keeping this here because I don't want to mess up the words, because I also saw that Leroy Reams is in the house tonight, who's a musical theater legend, and I am very nervous to perform in front of him because he's one of my favorite performers of all time. Let's
do it.
Let's do the song. What's playing at the Roxy? I'll tell you what's playing at the Roxy. A picture about a Minnesota man so in love with a Mississippi girl that he sacrifices everything and moves all the way to Biloxi. That's what's playing at the Roxy. What's in the Daily News? I'll tell you what's in the Daily News. Story about a guy who bought his wife a small ruby with what otherwise would have been used for his union dues. That's what's in the Daily News. What's happening all over? I'll tell you what's happening all over. Guy sitting home by a television set who once used to be something of a rover. That's what's happening all over. Love is the thing that has licked 'em. And it looks like Nathan's just another victim. Yes, sir. When you see a guy reach for stars in the sky, you can bet that he's doing it for some doll. When you spot a John waiting out in the rain, chances are he's insane, as only a John can be for a Jane. When you see a gent paying all kinds of rent for a flat that would flatten the Taj Mahal. Call it sad, call it funny, but it's better than even money that the guy's only doing it for some doll. When you see a Joe saving half of his dough, you can bet that he's banking it with some doll. When a bum buys wine like a bum can't afford, it's a cinch that the bum is under the thumb of some little broad. When you meet a mug lately out of the jug, and he's still lifting platinum fol-de-rol, call it dumb, call it clever, but you can give odds forever that the guy's only doing it for some doll. Dance break. You know, they didn't have a dance call, and they didn't know that Titus and I were not like great dancers, so they made us sit on the side, and other real dancers did the dance break. It's embarrassing. When you see a sport and his cash has run short, make a bet that he's banking it with some doll. When a guy wears tails with the front gleaming white, who the hell do you think he's tickling pink on Saturday night? When a lazy slob takes a good steady job and he smells from Vitalis and Barbasol, call it dumb, call it clever, but you can give odds forever that the guy's only doing it for some doll, some doll, some doll. The guy's only doing it for some doll.
Steve Rosen. Thank you. Yes, I got you. The great Steve Rosen.